All right, so we got 20 minutes until the open. We're going to start filming here, get everything lined up. Just go over some of the analysis that we've been talking about all pre-market. So based on the fact that we're in the middle of this range, it's also prior day range. So that's also important to kind of keep in mind. There's a likelihood that we could kind of just sweep back and forth and not really like accomplish much. We had a dip. If someone was trying to short here, there wasn't really much that happened. And then your rally, yeah, you got a piece of it. Sure, maybe you get trailed out right here, but it's yet to be seen whether or not we hold right here or if we just kind of sink back lower. So it's always this pre 9:30 action where you kind of see a lot of, zigzag back and forth where price will tend to end up in the same spot that it opened just an hour later. So that's a tendency that I always keep in mind. This was the potential trade framework that I outlined, but I haven't taken a trade since last night at yesterday afternoon during Asia. So yeah, as it currently stands, I'm not interested in doing anything just yet with price. I do like the fact that the data high was left alone. This tells me that we could likely trade back here at some point, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Same thing with any of these upper levels, right? We have a bunch of failure swings. So again, when you're looking at a market, stabs higher, and if you don't get above that previous high, that would make this the failure, or just lower highs, however you want to look at it. Same thing goes for the lows with these right here, and higher low right here. So mid-range, the probability that you can accurately guess which way it's going to break is, flip a coin, right? You have no idea which way it's going to break. All you can do is kind of observe how price reacts to the edges, and that'll give you a better indication. Or if it starts forming some sort of higher low, maybe that can give you a hint. Maybe this was, maybe this is your accumulation and then you're just coming back to retest it. Very possible, but for me, I don't see an entry just here. I will be looking between pretty much until 10 Eastern. We could potentially go a little bit later in terms of looking for a setup, but I think today is a good day to be picky. Yesterday was super, super volatile, so it could be likely that we need some time to digest. I mean, this is like the first bit of consolidation in it almost feels like weeks. So if this needs to hold a little bit, I think it would be okay, right? Just a million days lower. We could probably go 1 or 2 days sideways. I think that would be fair. Tag this fair value gap on the daily chart. You have this swing low, so you're kind of in between levels as well in the higher time frame. If you drop down to the 4 hour, yeah, just consolidating. So more than a couple reasons to play it a little more defensive. Anytime I can agree on a few things as to why I do not want to be in the market, I will just tend to kind of keep it, simple. No need to overdo it. I don't want to have to a trade thesis should be pretty easy to come up with. You shouldn't have to do any sort of mental gymnastics. And right here, maybe I could argue that this would hold, but I think the only trade that essentially was good right here was this down here. This one right here is a little iffy for me, just based on no bottom wick on the hourly candle. If we pull this up real quick, yeah, no real bottom wick there. See what the 15 looks like. Yeah, the 15 looks terrible. This 15 right here is a counter signal. So even though we did not sweep the highs for the data, that 15 is a counter signal. So if you're long here and this candle folded on you, where's the likely direction, So you always have to keep an eye on the other side of the trade, because let's just say you're in this long and you don't manage it and you don't get out right here, you just gave back all the profits. So if you're giving back all your profits, how are you going to ever, scale your account? How are you ever going to pass a combine? Any of that stuff. You have to manage the profits. So yeah, completely giving back that move. So that's what I was getting at. When you have a market in a range, it can kind of sweep back and forth because, really, what is it doing? It's just forming another failure swing or another lower high, however you want to look at it. So that to that, to that, it's all the same thing. So I don't necessarily think this is a good pullback, but if you only look at the 1 minute, you're going to be like, oh, I need to buy that. I don't think you need to do anything. If you look at the 15, even the 5, honestly, 5 looks, I mean, better than the 15, but typically when you see a long wick and a long wick, like one after another, you don't immediately say, you know what, I need to buy. It's like, maybe you could, maybe, but it's not super, super clear. There's definitely better signals out there in the market. Yeah, inside days are inside days are one of the trickiest days to trade. And the reason why inside days suck so much is because people don't realize that they do not have to break the range. So meaning they'll just kind of go back and forth for like, what seems like hours. And they don't reverse where you think they're going to reverse. They reverse where they reverse. It just flips, You'll see a good setup and it just fails completely. And then you're like, oh, let me try the other side. And then it'll fail again. It's just because it's passing the time. It's flip-flop, it's generating liquidity and frustration. It's all that stuff. If an inside day has to stay inside, it's just going to kind of flip back and forth. How else will it keep you engaged if it doesn't stop you out over and over? Yeah, I would say so. Maybe we have a good potential at a TGIF this week, given the fact that we've had an extension lower from Monday. We had a trend day on Monday, I'm almost certain, right? And now we're coming to the end of the week where we're seeing a little bit of consolidation. Very possible that we see TGIF tomorrow, where you get that weekly retracement, that pullback, where it forms that wick essentially. So if you're unfamiliar, it looks something like this. Wow, what is wrong with that? Looks terrible. That ain't right. Anyways, you have Monday up here, somewhere up here. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, up in this area, right? You stab lower, and the idea is you form this big candle to the downside, and then it's going to have some sort of wick. So if this thing just kind of rallied up like that much, that would form some sort of bottom wick. It's not often that weekly candles will close at the weekly low, or daily candles even. Most of the time they just close after a slight bounce, So that's what you want to kind of factor in, that idea that we're going to potentially bounce. And from there, it's like then you can start to, not anticipate it, but when you see the signs of reversal, you can get on side with it. That's what you really want to be doing. So. Yeah, just chopping inside this range. So we got 11 minutes till the open. It is moving towards those wicks, so that's like, it's something that can happen. I'm not saying nothing is impossible, right? It's just not the best looking chart to go long right there. Everything will operate in its own, confines, right? Not every setup is the same as the last, but this right here, it doesn't look good to get long. Even down here, you had that initial push on the 1 minute, and that was about it. Maybe this tops out right here. I don't even mind letting it confirm strength above some of these highs and then look for a continuation, just because we have a lot of upside, or we have a lot of range in general that we could trade. So it's not like I need the cheapest entry. If this wanted to break, like, let's just say even 640, I could trade it to 727, 800, right? We have this one up here. And you also have this 60-minute fair value gap right here. This one right here. So you got like the previous day high and that 60-minute gap. They're a couple points away. So that could be a strong magnet. You know, anytime you see a level like this right here, and then a gap right below it where it did not touch it, those tend to act as a pretty strong target at some point. Doesn't have to be today, but I'm going to be, as soon as we start seeing upside, that's one of the levels I do have in mind. Whether that's today, tomorrow, next week, whatever. What's good, brother? Yeah, good morning. Yeah, we're just kind of chopping it up while the market chops, you know. Inside day action, 60-minute consolidation, 4-hour consolidation. So it's like the first bit of consolidation we've seen in a minute. You know, free fall, consolidate, then, you know, either resume or reverse. Expansion, contraction, expansion. Yeah, I think so. I mean, even if we continue above data high, I'm good for that. I have upside levels, downside levels, and we can figure it out. If we really need to look at some downside levels, we could see. I mean, really, it's just prior day low, no? This low right here as well. Midnight open. So if we were to, let's just say, rally up, take out the data high, and then retrace lower, we got this area, midnight open, this low, and this prior day low. And if not, if we can hold, we got all this. So either way, I'm not fixed on one side. Anytime you see just all of this, it'll eventually get ran, because someone's short here, someone's short here, someone's short here, and eventually it's just easy money to be grabbed. You just grab it, right? I am surprised with the resilience of this 15-minute. It's nice to see, you know. It has not been the case lately with any sort of strength. You just have not seen it, no follow through. But if that's an early indication of, you know, upside for today, I'm cool with seeing that. So basically 6 minutes till the open. Yeah, 6 minutes till the open. So 5 minutes just coiled. It'd be hard to be in this trade. Just in general, it's very sideways, but it's all good. None of this really matters too much to me because it's just data. All right, we're just gathering it. And that's why I say, you know, when we were talking about this earlier in the pre-market prep, I said, yeah, you could potentially take this trade right here from VWAP and the inversion to the data high. However, I find you typically will get the same or similar entry at the New York Open. So as you know, you can kind of see right here, we're hesitating and we've sold off one time already from like basically at the level. We didn't get it, but we got pretty close. So it just goes to show that this is often going to be either you scalp it real quick for maybe this internal high, or you just wait, you know, because you're probably getting stopped out break even on this. But yeah, come next week, we'll have all new channels on the server, on the Discord. Everything will be dialed in. Just been working on that pretty much last night, this morning. And yeah, we'll keep going at that. So it'll be nice to get all of that updated finally. Yeah, 5 minutes. So we'll watch the first 30 minutes of this market open. Look for a setup. I do not believe there's 10 a.m. data. Let me check. No. Yeah, nothing for today at 10 a.m. So let's see. Can I do this in here? Poll. All right, let's see. What's everyone aiming for today? Tell me what your trade is for the day. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? What are you looking at? We'll see what everyone's on. It's a good question. Let me see. What am I today? Am I bullish or am I bearish? Let's play that game. We'll look at the 60. I think I'm neutral. Shit. I scammed you guys. I didn't even give you an option to be neutral. I don't think I have a bias just yet. I mean, I like the idea of trading higher. I don't think we need to. It's very possible we stay in this range, but I do see the potential of it kind of coiling. It's hard though because, you see these relatively equal lows, you see these lower highs. So it's like this could be drawn towards, but this structure right here, this little higher low, makes me think that it's more likely for us to just kind of, run for this at some point. So I think I'll say bullish. I think that's what I'll say. It's literally like flipping a coin, though. You have levels on both sides. It can reach higher, it can reach lower. It's the middle of a range. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's a very likely scenario. It can do that. Or the idea for me, I think for it to be bullish, it had to be a continuation above. Like it had to hold above. I don't think I want to get long right here. We got a minute and a half till the open, so we'll see if there's any early clues given. Sometimes right at the open, that initial movement will kind of give you an idea of which side is being manipulated or swept out of a trade. So you want to definitely be always paying attention to what's the first move, right? If it's a dip lower, then that could potentially be that opening price that you want to watch for a rally higher, and then vice versa. There's a reason why opening prices matter, and they talk about order blocks and all this stuff, because when you get that flip, that's oftentimes where you see it change that state of delivery. 387, 19387. All right. All right. I mean, not like 395. It's just low a day. Let's see what's 387. I guess, yeah, these equal lows. Yeah, I mean, they're really clean. So let's see where we go. We got 15 seconds. 15 seconds till the market opens. It does look really clean down here, man. So, oh well. There's our dip lower on the open. Just let the data develop. Yeah, I mean, I think the best trade is just taking the one that's obvious to you, Back into view up. So yeah, with your hourly chart, that's literally what you're looking like. And what you'd want to see is like, this is kind of what it looks like it might be doing. You have this hourly gap right here. It might be wanting to, show early signs of it flipping. So I would be mindful of that, because if this starts to close lower, if this starts to close below, then you can potentially see movement through this line down here. Now, that there's going to need to be a lot of price development to get there. So I'm not super eager to just jump in right here. I'm not going to ignore the obvious structure at play. So there is no trade for me right here, at all, either way, long or short. I'm not interested in this range. For me to be long, I want to be above the data high. I'll wait for it. And then if I want to be, yeah. All right, yeah, you can put the screenshot now. Should be good. Oh yeah. So here you are. Here's your push. We'll mark out the 9:30 open as well. Mark this in like blue or something. A little different. Blue. So I already told you my bias is for the upside, but I'm not trying to do anything just here. Yeah, look at that 5 minute. $40 seconds on the candle. It could go either way right now. No need to, outside of just the, for the love of the game, there's no point in guessing. You do it to entertain yourself, but it's like, there's no actionable trade here for me. You could argue that all of this is a change in state, but I'm good. I'll wait for a higher low. I think that's like the easiest trade. You see all of this just bloodshed on the charts. This rain just chopping back and forth. You could just wait for it to break one direction and then take that first fair value gap, that first pullback. You could take that first higher low. That first higher low will be, or the first lower high even, that will be such an easy trade. You don't have to be the first one in the trade. YM's wicking a lot. I'll say that on the 5 minute. So NQ's approaching midnight open. Yeah, it's just a weird profile. Like I'm looking at this midnight open right here. Pulls up on the 15. And you got midnight like right here. So we went below and then we went above and then we went below. And then what did we do? Asia, we rallied and then died? Interesting. I don't think this is super high probability. You got like waterfall, you got like random rally of like, a bunch of 200 points or so, no down candles, and now it's like chop. I would say 100%. If I could, I would say 200%. It's a very low probability in my opinion. Inside day, the location, right? The fact that we're finally consolidating after like massive expansion. These are the types of days where it's better to almost anticipate a failed break and then trade the sweep of it essentially, instead of looking for the continuation to either direction, honestly. Like if you're trying to short for this to break below here, it's like, yeah, good luck. I probably won't want to. The 15 minute can easily form some wicks, That's what our first 15 looks like so far, and we've only done 10 minutes. How many times has someone's bias already changed on this open? Like this isn't what you need to be focusing your trading on. This is for like special occasions. That's for days that are very, very obvious you want to touch the open. But if the action is not abundantly clear, there's no reason to jump in at the open. Getting in first won't get you paid. You have to get a reasonable entry with decent risk reward. Otherwise, it's just a waste of your time. I have so many people, they tell me, they're like, oh, the first trade I take is always a loss. Probably because you're jumping in early, let it develop. It should be obvious to you when it's a good trade. It should be. If you know what you're looking for, if you've seen a good trade at least once, you know what a bad trade looks like. Anytime you look at a chart, you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's probably not going to work. Maybe isn't good enough. That was a good one. Yeah. Hey, don't we all though? Don't we all? That's part of the fun of it, you know? How many bad trades can you take and then you're like, oh shit, okay, maybe this doesn't work. So my only goal with this is because I could sit here and be like, oh, just long above this price, dude. Who cares? There will be a million trades. I'd rather just tell you, hey, like it's probably gonna fucking be not great right here. Because if you can avoid when it's choppy, like you don't build the habit of just jumping in, you can say, oh, okay, I understand why it would be beneficial to be more patient. But the moment you start feeding into that habit of needing to trade as soon as the candle opens at 9:30, it's just gonna put you in a bad spot. As far as it goes right now, I mean, here's that low we were talking about, but I don't have an entry model for this really on any of them. On ES, YM, none of them look good to me. And I think that's probably been the most annoying thing about this market is like, oh yeah, we just go lower, but if I don't see anything that is an easy trade for me to take, like it's something that I understand that I've seen happen before, I'm not just going to short it because eventually it's not going to work forever. So, but at this point it does feel like it has been working forever, so maybe there is something there. Very messy open. Very, very messy open. What's up, Drew? How's everybody doing? This 1 minute chart is insane. Look at this. This 1 minute chart, we're talking 73 points on this 1 minute chart right here. This is what you call account devastation. There's no way someone's in here just having a great time. I really doubt it. Unless you're on like a 5 second chart, there's no way that this is enjoyable right here. This is where you're meant to lose money. It'll rattle you, and then it'll pick a direction probably after 10. Yeah. Yeah, SMT. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, so if we start to look at some of the different, the different assets, at MES, well, SMT right there, YM's weak, so it swept that low. MNQ, it doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to hold. It's what's happening right now. I don't think anybody's like got a super clear read on this because it's not super clear. I mean, what, you want to look at a 15-second chart? This is brutal. This is brutal. Maybe you're catching this, but the thing is when it doesn't sweep either way, maybe the short was good. Right? Maybe that was a good one down to this low. But most people are just going to try to hold it for longer. They're not going to take the stop. They're not going to take the trail. They'll take the full stop on it most of the time. Yeah, very important to be watching the hourly chart though, I would say. There's your little push higher initially, then it sweeps. But if you look at the hourly, you see it's just sideways. The hourly candles are just sideways. So even worse, probably, the 4 hour. You don't see any sort of trend on the 4 hour. It's just sideways. So when price action is sideways, you have to wait for an external level to be taken. This is by definition a low probability day. So the more you can avoid these, the better. The only condition that I want to be getting long in is based on whether or not we can get above 600, basically, this 19,600. Because then I could determine that we might be seeing a shift in structure. And when I say above it, I don't mean just like, oh, price went above. I mean like definitively above it. It should be really strong. And if not, it'll likely trade to the bottom of the range where, you know, that's reasonable, where the 380 everyone was saying. And then when it gets there, then I can assess it. But I can't do anything in the middle. It's just not in my system. It's not worth it for me. If you're going to trade and you're going to take losses and you're going to learn how to do the shit, learn from the lessons. Like, you know, if I can sit here and tell you, yeah, most of the times, you know, throughout my career that I've traded in a consolidation like this in the middle, I've lost money. So why would I do it? It makes no sense. If you don't learn from the lesson, you're going to end up taking the same lesson again. It never adds up to profits at the end of the day. So funny. You'll talk to people who don't trade or anything like that, and just the attention span that you get from trading, like staring at this right here, you know, 15, 20-minute candles in a row. Most people cannot do that. Most people cannot do that. Yet I find myself, I'm like, you know, 3 hours into like an Asia session, still watching it. I'm like, damn, it's been 35 minutes. And yeah, like this is a little bit longer than your average TikTok, that's for sure. Trading something that when you do it long enough, you can just sit here. You'll sit in silence and just watch candles, but most people can't. Most people cannot do that. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Like sometimes I'll like a song will pause or whatever. I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, and 20 minutes goes by. So wow, see how it got that push higher? And everyone's like, see, it's going to follow through on this hourly, you know, the bullish gap. It's going to finally hold, guys. We're saved. And then you just get rolled over on. I learned my lesson yesterday. I was like, I tried to take some sort of momentum type entry, and it just folded like that yesterday. Like the same, almost the same thing, a 30-point candle. Nasty stuff. When you see stuff like that, that's outside of the, I would say, the ordinary, just know there's bigger forces at play. It's not just, oh, price action moving. No, there's some devious selling going on, you know? Everyone just taking advantage of the panic. Sell, 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 sell. And eventually it'll bounce because you cannot sell something forever. There's a fair value to things. It's not going to go, I mean, it depends who I'm talking to, but it's not going to zero. You know, nothing's going to zero. It has to bounce at some point. Stuff bounces. You know, obviously if I'm trolling, yes, it goes to zero. And obviously if I'm tweeting, absolutely it goes to zero, you know. But yeah, stuff has to bounce at some point. So in the middle of the range, let it kind of chop around, wait for it to get to the low of the range, assess it there. But yeah, it's a good practice session for sure. If you guys are not patient with trading, days like this, you'll just blow an account. You know, I've not seen one setup. I haven't even seen one setup that I could like try outside of what we talked about here in the pre-market. You know, this little guy up to here, but I didn't even like it. That's why I said I don't want to take it. You know, obviously the target was the wick, and then it just didn't run it again. So about 100 points off your 380 right now. We're at 470, or yeah, 480 right now. Again, that hourly gap is starting to look like it's going to invert. We mentioned that at the 9:30 open that we would want to see if this is going to invert. It's worked through there. So the logic would be if you can definitively hold below this, right? If you could definitively hold below this, this might represent a potential for a continuation. You might be able to find something, you know, for a short. I don't know if I want to, but you might be able to, right? You might be able to see something right here, maybe pulls back, whatever. So then you go lower. Or I guess you could just fucking just short the fucking thing as it goes. It just seems like all you do is sell and you'll make money in this market. But ideally, yeah, you see it pull back and create some sort of structure where you can sell at like a little pullback and then you target lower. It wouldn't be this level that you're targeting. You'd be mostly looking for these relatively equal lows. So these guys right here, all that. That's the short objective. I'm not going to take a short right here. I mean, I might, but I'm probably not, is what I'm getting at. I more than likely will not take a short today. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think 400 is nice. You have that new day opening gap there as well. 400, yeah, the new day opening gap from literally yesterday. It's that little baby gap too. So we can even draw that out. There's a little tiny baby gap from yesterday. Right here. So I'll make this right here blue and that blue. So you get this new day opening gap. It tagged it a couple times, which is good. Like when you see those levels referenced, it'll tend to tell you that it's going to kind of maybe draw back towards there. Price tends to be pretty sticky. That's just a tendency of it. So it looks like you're sweeping out this pre-830 low. Yeah, no setup for me. No trade on any of them. There's nothing. Doesn't mean you can't take a trade. I'm telling you based on my observations. All right, you're seeing a little bit of a push. Just one candle. The only thing is you did sweep that low, so you got to keep this in mind. So we'll look at a 5-minute right here just to make it really clear for you guys. You see the sweep right here. Guess we get rid of this 61.8 level. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. All right, that should be better. Well, this is maybe your little pullback, right? Your little consolidation that we were talking about. Retracement for you to sell. Not for me. Not my trade. Drawing liquidity is super clear. Yeah, if you're talking 400 literally. 400 is really, 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 like it's an obvious level that you can reach for. I can see it. Okay, cool. Now you're starting to see Just more consolidation at the lows. It's 9:50 Eastern, so this is a likely time, that 10 a.m. reversal, that you could potentially see a bounce. So obviously, if you make new lows past 10 a.m., probably expect it to kind of continue, like, just follow the trend. However, if it bounces here, that's something to keep in mind. 10 a.m. reversal is very, very common regardless of your trading system, but this is your continuation right here. Let's see. YM's completely shitting the bed. Yeah, there's your sell for sure. Let's see. ES. Pull these up on the 15, see what they look like. Yeah, just sweeping out those lows still. So let's see. NQ on the 15. There's your wick higher for it to displace lower. There's your equal lows, essentially. So I could reach for that. I can see it for sure. I can see the trade. It's like right within reach, so something like this would be reasonable. When you look at setups like this, you say, okay, how could I maybe get positioned? And I've seen a lot of these kind of work out where it's the sweep of a previous high in this, crazy downtrend. Those types of entries have worked well in this trend in last, basically February, March. So those are potential ways you could get involved. Yeah, it's just really not my style. It's not my style. I'd prefer to see some deeper retracements. Let me sell from a premium. I don't want to keep just selling the low. I don't like very unbalanced markets. A lot of people feel this way about longs. They can't just buy as it keeps going up forever and ever. I'm the opposite. I can't buy short into these lows like this. Some people can. It's just not as clear for me. Maybe that's your order block. However you want to look at it. I think this could have been way cleaner. Giant wick, just kind of choppy. We're talking 36 points. Yeah, I'm fine on that. $36 points in this market. It's like, wow, 1 micro. It's like, I want to get something where I could get like 3 or 4, or even like Asia last time where I'm trading 7, 8 micros. Easier. Looks like we're wicking on YM. We'll look at this on the 5-minute. Yeah. It's cracking lower. You're approaching your 420, 400 area. Right now you're 441 on NQ. YM's holding a little bit, being a little stubborn. ES is kind of around the swing low. So it looks like NQ is the weakest at the moment, once again, right? And then there's your levels right there, relatively equal lows. So my question is this. Once we get to this 387, how are we going to react? How are we going to behave? That's what my primary focus is. That's more in line with what I want to see. Say it'd be the same thing if it was, if we were bearish, right? Or sorry, bullish. Flip the chart upside down. I'd wait to see something at this level. Maybe we could see continuation under or reaction. But this right here, it is moving. I can't deny that. Maybe today the trade was just the view up flip, but it's like the structure for risk reward is just not there for me. I can't see it, the structure, Where am I going to put my stop? This wick, right? Does this wick go up 5 more points, 10 more points? Hard to say. But yeah, there's your reach for these. Yeah, 393, cool. There's your 380 coming up real soon. So I'm gonna watch how these ES appears has ES has not taken the low. Yeah, I agree. You hear us talking about it. You hear us talk about it. It's like we can see the levels, but it doesn't mean I could see a trade. It's all the same shit we've been saying all morning. We have the levels above, the levels below. Very simple. Very, very simple. This teal line is your new day opening gap from yesterday. And yeah, it's 9:55. Just keep that in mind. We have 10 a.m. coming up. Hourly, let's see what the 15 looks like. I always see this. I always see this one. I always see people say this, and not just Steve. I'm not picking on Steve. People always say terrible something, but instead of just leaving it, just terrible something. I had someone, like, I see this all the time. People go, I blew my account, but what? Why are you skipping over the most important thing? I've had so many people that are like, I blew my account, but I passed half of a combine. Bro, one idea at a time. You blew your account. Let's talk about that. Nothing else. It's you try to avoid what's actually important. Is it important you hit the target, or is it important that you follow a good entry model? What matters more? Is it important that you pass a combine, or is it important that you keep an account? I see that one too much. It's important you do all the little things the right way. But is the worst word in the English language when it comes to accountability. It's like, I would never be like, oh, I broke my phone, but I wasn't paying attention. It's like, no, just focus on what the main thing is, because you can actually fix that. What is there to do about a target that got hit? You got paid. But if you have a bad entry, that's what you should be focused on. You say, fuck, I got a little impatient. I didn't use a limit order, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, short worked out great. Short worked out great. It's just nothing for me. I don't have an entry. It's tough when it's like that, but whatever. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I know that with a trade like this, yeah, sure, maybe this is the entry. If I take a short that I do not like and I end up getting stopped for it, like it'll annoy me way more than, it's not proportionate to how much I would care about winning. Getting stopped out on a short at a bad location that I'm not a fan of is pretty annoying to me. So I'll tend to be a little more cautious, but whatever, it means maybe you miss a trade or two. Your ability to miss a trade is pretty important. If you can't miss a trade, how are you ever going to be able to be okay with what you got? So you got 9:58 right here. You see 10 a.m. 10 a.m. So the idea is look, you manipulate the outside of this range, right? So right here. Let's clean this up. Get rid of this new day gap. We know it's there. So we got this. Boom. So we'll be focusing on this. As red line, whatever. So you just want to watch the reaction here, prior day low. This fits my model, Not saying there's a trade, obviously. I'm just saying I need some sort of level. I don't really prefer to trade from the middle of the range. So you see this initial push lower on 10 a.m. So yeah, this is probably just a continuation then. This would have been an okay entry, right? Maybe you get a 2R out of this. So this would be like your silver bullet, target 2R. But yeah, it's chopping up. Look at some candlesticks. So essentially just watch the reaction versus the slow. Give it like 10 minutes. If I don't see anything that's like some sort of enthusiasm back above this level, then I'm good on it. You know, it'd be essentially the rebid of prior day low. So prior day low right here, giant wick so far. So that'd be your setup. If it gets back above the level, right? Look for some sort of displacement and you trade it back into this range. The idea of it being like a market maker buy model, but obviously it's a pretty discounted market, but it's also a very seller heavy market. It's a weak market. That's how much you can do. Yeah, whatever, It's either you short the lows or you just sit and wait. What would you prefer? I'd rather just not take a loss that I'm not sure of. There's losses that I want to take. I'm okay with it. None of these really. If I lost on this trade, it would have annoyed me for sure. Because, how many times do I have to say I don't want to trade from the middle of the range? I want to trade from the outside, either the high or the low. Whether it's a continuation or a reversal back into like the midpoint of the range. Those are kind of the levels in mind. Take a look at MES. Boom. Same deal. I guess it hasn't taken that low though. I don't know if that's prior day low. Yeah, ES is still in prior day range. Very weak, very weak. It's like, I get it. You validate the fair value gap, sure, then you target prior day low. Makes sense. But now that we're at prior day low, the question is if we see some sort of retracement back into the range. If this is a setup, I'll kind of frame it as to what I'd be looking for. Whether or not it happens, I don't care, right? This is just what I would be looking for if I see enough confluence. Something back into that point, right? 50% of the range. So from here, realistically, we could say the swing high, right? The data high. That might be all right. So you're starting to see some displacement back into the range, right? Okay, 30 seconds on the candle. You'd probably want to wait for it to form some sort of fair value gap. So give it maybe a 30-second chart. Yeah, you can see this. So we need, I hope it doesn't run too much. VWAP's like 520. So the idea is in 16 seconds, it pulls back into this area. What would the stop be? 23 points. Yeah, if it could pull back into that area, that'd be nice. Maybe not so fast. This is one. No, let's see if it fills me. This is the one trade I'll take, and then that'll be it. It's an aggressive entry, so it could just stop me. No big deal. I could have waited for more candles to kind of develop, but I think my stop's all right. I don't need to move it. If it just stops me, that's fine. It's an aggressive bounce, right? So it has to happen immediately or it won't work. And it's fine if it doesn't. The idea is price is like a rubber band, right? You stretch it too far to one side and it fails to break out. You get a snap back to the middle of the range. Probably align it with 50% of that range. I'm going to just move it into profit and let it hit it immediately. So this is a pretty decent trade. It's probably going to go higher, but let's see if it fills me. Chill, just a little more aggressive. Let's see. Yeah, take it off. I'm good there. It's 180 bucks. I think it was like 2R, give or take. I didn't want it to wick. We're in a 5-minute gap. Whatever, So I just made whatever that was. So we're done. Risked $100, made 180 in 1 minute. Pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I like that. Actually, it wasn't 1 minute. I lied. It was a minute and a half. We entered at 7:04:08, and we got out at 7:05:23, and we made $184. So I'll probably wrap up the stream with that. Yeah, solid scalp. Took it. Paper cuts early. Yeah, see, Mike, I've lived that trade. I've lived that day a million times. So when you say, man, I would have been up or whatever, but like you took the losses early, I'm like, I know. It's like the worst part. You take the losses and then the win is like, it doesn't mean anything. So I'm up because I avoided those losses. It's not because of anything special. And notice price is stalling out too. So I just took a quick scalp like Alejandro said. Easy trade. Mean reversion, right? Level, logic, target. And what did I do? I managed it. I actively managed it. I was going to be picky and wait for 200, and I just clicked it out and I said, fuck it. We're done. So yeah, avoiding losses is literally like 90% of your edge. If you could just avoid the losses, go hit the back test, run through that thing for hours. I've spent 3 hours this week on this shit. So great trade, great stream, everybody. Hope you learned something. If you guys have questions, hit me up. I'm going to throw this up on YouTube. And yeah, take care. Later, guys. Peace.